Hello, hello, my beauties and bees. Welcome to another episode of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today I'm bringing you something kind of local because, I've mentioned it before. I live in Illinois because I talked about Illinois Thunderbird just a couple months ago, or maybe a couple months ago. Anyway, we got a cut version of that coming out soon too. So just a standalone. It's a good watch. Lots of coverage about the whole phenomena and kind of my whole take on it. And it covers also covers Washington sea eagle, or not Washington sea eagle, just Washington's eagle, which was a alleged eagle that lived in the upper Mississippi and Great Lakes region that was reported by John James Audubon, that has scrupulous pedigree, I guess, as to what it was and where it went and what happened to it, and it was huge. So, interesting watch. So that's coming out. Crud, I should have had this pulled up already. Let me see. Look at my schedule. Just checking things out here. Let's see. So that episode of Cryptic Corner is airing September 6th. September 6th. Don't miss that one. But on to today's topic. It takes place in Illinois too. That's why I brought it up. And actually have some. I do remote work, so I don't like. We're all in offices all over the state. But I have a lot of coworkers in the city of Mattoon, Illinois. It's like a small town in like a little bit to the east and a little bit south. I call it maybe southeast Illinois, but not real south. Like let me show you where it is kind of on the map, so you get an idea, and then we'll have an understanding of the region we're talking about of the state. So, if you zoom out, Mattoon, so here's the state of Illinois, right here, boom, 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 boom. Mattoon is down here. Now, when we covered the Thunderbirds, this was one of our spots, and this was one of our spots. So this lake spot where Thunderbird sighting was, is actually really close to Mattoon. Mattoon's kind of a small town. It's bigger now than it was then, but just like a little town with a main street, and looks like they have a Charleston Avenue might be one of their prominent streets here because it's got the Burger King and the Arby's on it, which are both important, and the Walgreens. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is one of their main roads. Where is their main street though? But then again, downtown main streets don't really have like the fast food places and stuff on them anymore. That's where the old roads used to run through. Back when there were trains or river ports that were more dependent than highways. But the U.S. is all covered with highways. There's no wild places anymore. Not in Illinois. Not many anyway. But that's Mattoon. And in 1940s, Mattoon had what was called the Mad Gasser attacks. All right. While London was under siege, they thought that there was this. It could have been, I don't know. There was all sorts of speculation on who the gasser was and what their intention was. This was during World War II, so keep that in mind. And the way it was reported on was very similar to like war activity. Like there were enemy soldiers across the line who were working inside the USA and doing gas attacks on U.S. citizens. Right? Gasser adds 6 victims. So this was a big news event. Look how big a news event that is. Look at that headline, and they're putting that above a lot of these World War II reporting. So that shows you how big of a deal this was. Now, Atlas Obscura has a pretty decent article breaking it down, right? I could read that. It'd take forever, but I'd rather let Slapped Ham narrator tell us the story and make my commentary as we move through. So what do you all think of that? Is that a good plan? And how's my audio too? Let me know if I need to turn anything up.
Imagine waking up to an unfamiliar scent that leaves you weak and unable to move, all while whispers of a mysterious assailant haunt your thoughts. In the mid-1940s, this was the reality for a number of residents in a small town in Illinois, United States. It was the beginning of a series of events so mysterious and...
I prefer my voice to be just like a notch above the narrators if I can. It makes it easier on editing. So...
strange that authorities thought it was the result of a mass hallucination. This is the chilling tale of the Mad Gasser of Mattoon.
Chilling tale.
In the peaceful town of Mattoon, Illinois, during the early 1940s summer nights, an ominous presence emerged, casting a mysterious shadow over the unsuspecting community. This enigmatic figure, later known as the Mad Gasser, would leave an indelible mark on the pages of American folklore. Mattoon, a serene town known for its picturesque charm and close-knit residents, was thrust...
I want to make it clear that I've never even been to Mattoon. It's just a city that is nearby the one that I live in.
...into an unsettling narrative that defied rational explanation.
That's some That's some Leatherface looking dude right there. Look at that. You wouldn't want to walk around someone's back, like the back of someone's house to check their meter and see that guy standing there.
Settling narrative that defied rational explanation. It all began with reports of a shadowy prowler, a phantom who, under the cover of darkness, infiltrated homes and released a strange gas upon its unsuspecting victims. As residents awoke to the pungent odor and experienced symptoms ranging from nausea to paralysis, the tranquility of Mattoon's streets shattered. Panic spread like wildfire, enveloping the town in a pervasive sense of vulnerability.
Again, during World War II, so this was kind of a big deal, right? And you're all like, oh, well, what's this have to do with Cryptic Corner? It sounds like it was... no, it does. It gets supernatural claims get attached into here and all sorts of bizarre stuff. There's a psychic that gets involved. We are going to be diving into some weird today, so stick around.
Amid the sweltering heat of those summer nights, Mattoon transformed into a stage for an eerie and perplexing drama, blurring the lines between reality and fear. With each inexplicable assault by the Mad Gasser, speculation and anxiety surged, creating an atmosphere steeped in uncertainty and bewilderment.
Bewilderment?
In the early days of September 1944, Aline Kearney, a young mother of two, found herself settling down for the night with her 3-year-old daughter.
And this is another reason I picked this video as opposed to the other one that I had lined up, because they kept calling her Aline Pearsley. It's like, no, it's Aline.
Husband, a taxi driver, was away on his route, but her sister and nephew provided company on this particular evening. Amidst the backdrop of...
And taxi driver, that gives you an idea of how the size of Mattoon. It was small, but not that small, right? It had a taxi service. Like the region I grew up in, none of the towns would have had a taxi service, right? Just to put it in perspective.
War II, anxiety loomed over Mattoon, a town of roughly 15,000
especially not in the 50s.
Residents. Many of the town's men had answered the call to serve overseas, leaving the local police force woefully understaffed. Maintaining order in such trying times proved to be an insurmountable challenge. That fateful night, Aline Kearney experienced...
that is a good question, because like a lot of the police force, right, would have been enlisted and overseas, and the culture in the U.S., at least in the Midwest at this time, it really wouldn't... women could be in the workforce in some capacity, but I don't think that there were many women working in law enforcement, at least not in field work in law enforcement in the 1950s in anywhere in Illinois. Maybe Chicago, maybe, or like East St. Louis, but not in a little city like Mattoon. I wouldn't think, right? So who's policing stuff? It'd have to be people that were too old to pass physical exams and stuff, to go to or too old or too unable to pass physical requirements, whatever. So there wasn't a lot of people to work the and the reporting too. I mean, because they wouldn't let certain people work in certain facets of society at the time.
Experienced a disconcerting turn of events. She detected a sickly sweet odor permeating her bedroom, initially attributing it to the nearby flowers. However, the smell intensified, accompanied by a creeping paralysis that seized her legs and lower body. Terrified, Kearney cried out for her sister, who rushed to the open bedroom window. A concerned neighbor promptly dialed the police, but
so far what she's reporting doesn't seem like it has to be anything worse than sleep paralysis, which is, yep, Rosie the Riveter. I remember Rosie the Riveter. She had bigger arms than me, but look at my little muscles. Aren't they cute? Anyway. Yeah, so sleep paralysis is a scary phenomena. I don't know. I'm not saying that this is necessarily what happened and that there was no gas or involved in this, because there was nobody seen at this point.
Their arrival yielded no signs of an intruder. Later that evening, Aline Kearney's husband returned home, only to spot a suspicious figure lurking near the window. Despite his efforts, the elusive intruder evaded capture. Kearney's description painted a picture of a tall individual clad in dark attire, sporting a snug-fitting cap. The following day, Mattoon's...
What's a snug-fitting cap? Is it different than like a floppy cap? Like, what constitutes snug-fitting? Like maybe what a baseball player wears? So I'm assuming that's the type of cap. When I think cap, that's what I think of, like a baseball cap.
Journal Gazette splashed Aline Kearney's ordeal across its front page, bearing the headline, "Anesthetic Prowler on Loose." Kearney and her daughter were deemed the first victims of this enigmatic prowler, setting the stage for a series of unsettling incidents that would soon follow. In the tense days that followed Aline Kearney's encounter with the...
Yeah, it could be a beanie, because, yeah, that's what we would... Well, what would they have called that? I would have called that a stocking cap in Illinois at that time, though, in the 50s. We didn't start calling them beanies until, I want to say the 90s. I never heard that term until the 90s, anyway. And it was specifically for, in regards to the ones that were being sold for, like, at like Hot Topic and at concerts when you go to the merch stands. They called them beanies. That was the first time I'd learned that they were called beanies. Before that, everybody I knew called them stocking caps. Now everybody calls them beanies, though, so...
Mysterious anesthetic prowler, Mattoon's quiet streets were far from peaceful. On the eve of the Kearney incident, another family, the Rafes, would become unwilling participants in the town's growing unease. Orbone Rafe, a dedicated sheet metal worker, bore the heavy burden of grief as his brother had tragically perished in the battles of Normandy just that July. In the early hours of that fateful night, around 3 a.m., the Rafe household would face a chilling encounter that would leave an indelible mark on their lives. As the Rafes slept, a disturbing odor began to permeate their bedroom. An eerie and unfamiliar scent hung in the air, gradually intensifying as it infiltrated their home.
So far, we have no one connected to the actual sightings. Like the sightings of the people or the person and the gasser are not necessarily correlated. And they're just talking about some tall person walking around in a baseball cap. That's not. And maybe hanging around the window, but they'd also just seen the police investigating that area over there, and people are nosy. So yeah, and yeah, when you have something like that happen, reported from your spouse, right, that there's somebody was putting gas in the window or something, the cops show up and investigate around the window. Your neighbors and stuff, and just random people walking by or passing by see that, you get nosy and curious and go over there and look around the window after the cops leave. And if you catch them, then they're going to scurry off really quick. That doesn't seem too alarming up to this point, but let's see if this time it'll actually be a person connected to the gas attacks. This should be one of your true crime things, Sumami. You should know. Are you familiar with this one?
Suddenly, an insidious sense of illness overcame them, rendering them immobilized and powerless to escape the noxious fumes that seeped in through their open bedroom window. For over 90 minutes, the couple were paralyzed. Orban Rafe's harrowing experience was not an isolated incident. In the September 5, 1944 edition of the Journal Gazette, his account shared the spotlight with 3 other equally disturbing tales. 2 of these unsettling stories.
I think Anesthetic Prowler is probably not the best name in print, so they switched it to Mad Gasser at some point. But it seems like in the early days, they were known as the Anesthetic Prowler.
Involved innocent children who had become violently ill under inexplicable circumstances. As the reports continued to surface, the once peaceful town of Mattoon found itself trapped in a relentless grip of fear and uncertainty. With each passing night bringing a new chapter of dread, the anesthetic prowler remained elusive, leaving the community on edge, desperate for answers, and bracing for whatever terror the next night might bring. The descriptions of...
And keep in mind, while this is going on in America, like the UK London's being bombed, London's being shelled, right? Other places in the world are experiencing true horror and grief. And people in the US are like, oh, we need some of that. What if we had a gasser that was going around gassing people in the night? Not exactly as prominent as a bomber, but disturbing nonetheless. Just saying. I'm not trying to make any accusation here. Just thinking out loud.
The mad gasser vary, with the most prominent accounts originating from Mr. and Mrs. Bert Kearney of 1408 Marshall Avenue. The first victims...
1408, we all know from the Stephen King novel that 1408, if you add it up, it's 13. It comes up to 13.
Whose case reached the media. They depicted the gasser as a tall, slender individual clad in dark attire and sporting a snug-fitting cap.
Snug-fitting cap is the description. Did people not wear baseball caps a lot back then? Like, seems like a normal thing to wear. Like, if your description is anybody with a with a baseball cap, come on, give me something more than that. All the images of the gasser show him with a gas mask on. They look like a freaking horror monster, like a slasher. It's awesome. And all these reports are just somebody with a baseball cap.
Reported several weeks later, the gasser was described as a female disguised as a man. Additionally, the gasser was often depicted as carrying a flit gun, typically used for pesticide spraying, which was supposedly utilized to release the mysterious gas. These diverse descriptions only added to the intrigue surrounding the elusive figure. As the perplexing series of gas attacks continued to grip Mattoon in fear, the town's residents found themselves increasingly entangled.
Obviously, it was an evil Nazi spy unit that were working to discourage Americans from participating further in the war.
Tangled in a web of inexplicable incidents. The web of mystery began to expand, with more victims coming forward and...
That's right, you want your hat to have a little bit of snugness. It's got to at least be able to hold on to your head a bit, or else when your a little wind picks up, there it goes. Or you say you decide to hop on a bicycle or go for a jog wearing it, it's going to go right off your head.
Sharing their harrowing encounters. Olive Brown stepped forward, recounting her own chilling ordeal that had occurred months before the Kearney incident. She had been subjected to the same baffling symptoms: paralysis, nausea, and an unsettling sense of dread. Olive's account echoed the terror that had haunted Mattoon, suggesting that the anesthetic prowler had struck long before his most notorious attack.
Well, that's true, Sumami. You can pin it, but Yeah, I just don't imagine a floppy hat being a good choice to wear while doing mad gasser attacks. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you think a floppy hat is a good choice, absolutely lay out the case for it, and I'll read it out loud. Or a staple gun. Yeah, don't staple it to your head, Dave. Jeez. Tarantino could have included this in Inglourious Bastards. Yeah, it's kind of that kind of story, isn't it? You got a infiltration story unfolding here, but it gets supernatural here in a little bit. So don't lose heart. We will get weird with it.
On the very night of the Kearney encounter, another unsettling incident took place. The wife of George Ryder was awake in the wee hours, indulging in multiple pots of coffee to stay alert. Suddenly, she was jolted by an eerie noise, a strange plop that resonated through the silence of the night. A noxious odor enveloped the room, causing her hands and legs to tingle and leaving her with a sensation of dizziness, as if she were floating in an otherworldly realm.
Maybe that just sounds like she's drinking a lot of coffee. I don't know, maybe? Maybe. She's jittery from the coffee. Does that happen? Do people get jittery from coffee? Is that a thing? I think that's a thing, isn't it? Only Sinatra should wear a fedora. You think that the Mad Gasser was wearing a fedora? No way. I like the gas mask and helmet look. That's what I like. I want my Mad Gasser with a gas mask, helmet, and then like a jumpsuit, maybe, and goggles that glow green, especially, are cool. And then like big air tanks on the back, or big tanks on the back full of gas, and then maybe like a Ghostbuster kind of spraying the gas around. That's the way the gasser should appear, in my opinion. I'm a big nerd though. Big cryptid nerd, and in order to make this guy a cryptid, you gotta lean into the weirdest explanation, which we will get to. I promise the story gets there. We just gotta break down a few more minutes of cases here.
But the strangeness didn't stop there. An unnamed individual came forward with their own disturbing account. They spoke of a sickeningly sweet smell that had descended upon their home, inducing vomiting in their children. The town's once peaceful atmosphere was now shrouded in an air of dread, and the anesthetic prowler seemed to be striking with increasing audacity. However, it was an incident on September 5th that truly pushed the boundaries of the bizarre. Beulah Cordis discovered a damp cloth on her front porch. Unaware of its origin, she curiously picked it up and took a cautious sniff. What followed was nothing short of nightmarish.
So just want to clarify that this is a completely different type of phenomenon than what's been reported so far. What's been reported so far has been open window sleep paralysis with like something coming in the window, right? Not a rag on the porch. Yeah, chemical weapons aren't usually deployed by a guy with a bug sprayer. That's true. Yeah, getting trapped under the blankets with your own gas. It was a bear disguised as a man. That would be a nice twist.
An overwhelming sensation of paralysis, akin to an electric shock, coursed through her body. She endured 2 hours of sickness, yet when the cloth underwent chemical analysis, it revealed no traces of any discernible substances. The town's...
Seriously, I don't like, if you find strange cloths laying on your porch, don't like hold it up to your face and sniff it. Don't do that. The most powerful knockout agents that we have still have to be forced into your system, like, so she would have had to like dose herself with it if it was like chloroform or something. She would have had to. It's hard to chloroform yourself because your body has a aversion to it, to that, letting that into it. So you have to like force it. That's the only thing you can breathe.
Mystique deepened further as local fortune teller Edna James
Here we go.
Own eerie
Fortune teller times. Let me back it up.
And further as local fortune teller Edna James embarked on her own eerie exploration. Detecting an unusual odor in the boarding house she managed, she embarked on an investigation that would forever haunt her memories. What she claimed to have encountered was beyond the realm of reason. A creature resembling an ape-like man with long arms, brandishing a mysterious spray gun. With eerie precision, this entity unleashed 3 clouds of gas upon her, rendering her arms and legs numb. With each
finally, it took its final form. It went from being a tall, skinny man to being just a guy with a cap, and then we get a woman disguised as a man, and now we get ape monster. With that's the natural evolution of the story. Ape-like man, so a man, yeah, for real. A man is an ape.
Passing day, Mattoon's chilling saga grew more confounding, leaving its residents to grapple with the haunting question: who or what was the anesthetic prowler, and what?
Who, now there's finally no longer a who, but a what. It's turned into something more. And we're only halfway through the video, guys. Turned into something more.
Malevolent force lurked behind these inexplicable events. Local authorities, initially perplexed by the nature of the gas attacks, struggled to provide reassuring answers. The lack of a clear culprit or motive aroused rumors and speculations within the area. Residents began taking precautions, locking doors and windows at night, and forming neighborhood watch groups to safeguard against potential intruders. The small town atmosphere, once characterized by a sense of security, gave way to an unsettling paranoia. As panic gripped
mass hysteria! It's mass hysteria time. This is like one of the ones that they often cite for case studies about mass hysteria. So, I mean, do with that what you will. There's also the Spring-Heeled Jack in the 1800s, the 19th century, yeah.
Mattoon, the Army enlisted chemical weapon experts to investigate the mysterious gas attacks. The leading theory pointed to chloropicrin, a sweet-smelling but poisonous gas used for pest control. However, no evidence of chloropicrin was found, and the symptoms reported did not align with its effects. In response to the growing fear, armed vigilante groups took to the streets, determined to catch the elusive mad gasser. The police compiled a list of suspects, including a disgruntled high school chemistry teacher, a possible prankster, and even the notion of an escaped Nazi or Japanese prisoner of war. The Chicago Herald American's September 11.
What happened to the ape man, though? I like the ape man explanation. Can ape-like man.
Headline encapsulated the state of affairs. State hunts gas madman. Authorities didn't spare any lead, even investigating a wealthy eccentric known to have a basement laboratory. They also reached out to mental hospitals, searching for recently released patients with a fixation on poison gas. A week into the alleged
this is like, see, now we're getting like it's like a Batman investigation at this point. We're like looking for a Batman villain, right? Who uses poison gas. And this is in the real world. Bigfoot farts, that's the explanation. Yeah, maybe it was a big stinky Bigfoot farting in the window. But do Bigfoot farts smell sweet? What would the Bigfoot have to eat? If you eat a lot of fruit, I guess.
gas attacks, the Journal Gazette's editorial team openly criticized city officials for their handling of the situation. They argued that the already understaffed police force was further hindered by political conflicts, which affected not only this case, but others as well. In a September 8th editorial, the newspaper pointed out that there seemed to be a trend among Mattoon police to downplay certain crimes to protect their pride. As chaos persisted, 5 squads of Illinois State Police were
It's getting wild, right? What are the evidence that we have so far? It's just a bunch of people reporting their sleep paralysis.
dispatched to Mattoon to assist with patrols. With the public losing faith in the investigation and
a psychic lady, that said she fought an ape man. But other than that, it's just people reporting their sleep paralysis and seeing and war hysteria, citing strangers on the streets. What's going on here?
and anxiety levels soaring. Chief of Police C.E. Cole shifted the blame elsewhere, declaring the case a mistake from beginning to end. Vigilante groups armed with shotguns and pistols roamed the streets, while women carried bats and clubs for protection. Many residents chose to stay with friends rather than sleep alone, and state investigators joined the search.
How about like lock your windows? Lock your windows. That's probably it's a good way to describe it, a Batman villain. Yeah, but just like I think locking your windows would probably be at least the windows in the rooms that you're sleeping in. And I suppose that becomes an issue in September in Illinois because it's still pretty balmy at that time of year. Mostly at nights can get kind of cool though. I leave my window open at night. Nobody has come in and mad gassed me yet though. I need a mad gasser to come attack me. Look, I can't make my shirt all week out. It's like horizontal stripes and I can't figure it out. And the camera can't. Look at that. Whoa! My boobies! What the hell?
Chief Cole initially suggested that the odor could be attributed to carbon tetrachloride, used in war work at the Atlas Imperial Diesel Engine Company plant, which could spread through the city as the wind shifted. However, he later backtracked on his statement. Atlas officials asserted that the plant had not been inspected by the police, and no factory workers had experienced any illness due to fumes. As the entire community united in their quest to identify the perpetrator, the Journal-Gazette staff pointed out two significant obstacles that hindered the capture of the mad gasser. Firstly, the police initially did not take the case seriously, which allowed the assailant to operate with impunity. Secondly, when the police finally recognized the gravity of the situation, mass hysteria and external interference disrupted their efforts to...
So... far be it from me to generally side with the police, but not taking this seriously was probably the right choice of action. The whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, is mass hysteria. Because everybody sounds like they're having sleep paralysis to me. That's what it sounds like. I mean, I'm welcome to be proven wrong, but yeah, that's what it sounds like. If otherwise, what is it, like an early morning exterminator running around?
To apprehend the culprit. Despite no arrests being made and a decline in reported attacks, there remained a division among authorities regarding the existence of the gasser. While some believed in the credibility of certain accounts at the time, State's Attorney William Kidwell later attributed the mad gasser phenomenon to mass hysteria, suggesting it was fueled by a Journal-Gazette reporter with an overactive imagination. The Mattoon mad gasser incident has sparked three primary theories to explain the bizarre events: mass hysteria, industrial pollution, or the actions of an actual physical assailant. Additionally, the incident has attracted attention from authors within...
They didn't look like that. Why do they always show them with this gas mask and stuff if that's not how they look? They make them look way cool. Make this thing look way cooler than it was. That's not a stranger in a snug-fitting cap. The stranger in the snug-fitting cap didn't even have a gas gun or anything. They were just throwing stinky washcloths on people's porches.
An interest in the...
Are you talking about the tarantula dancing? Yeah, did you get bit by a tarantula and it makes you have to dance and you can't stop dancing and it's contagious and other people catch it?
Paranormal. Nearly 2 weeks after the Mattoon attacks began, the local commissioner of public health, Thomas V. Wright, acknowledged that some gassing incidents had indeed occurred. Still, he suggested that many reports were likely due to hysteria fueled by fear and sensationalism. He believed that residents, upon hearing alarming accounts, panicked when encountering unusual odors or shadows, blowing the situation out of proportion. Chief of Police C.E. Cole later supported this hypothesis by suggesting that there might not have been any gas attacks at all, attributing the reported incidents to chemicals from nearby industrial facilities and exacerbated public panic. This viewpoint gained further support when psychologist Donald M. Johnson published a study.
I'd like to see if maybe there wasn't some kind of report that was recently released in the area or even in one of the bigger newspapers about the use of chemical weapons in the war, on the war front, and that's not what it's kind of set things off. You know what I mean? So that's a thought.
In the Journal of Abnormal and Social Psychology in 1945, presenting the Mattoon incident as a case of mass hysteria. Chief of Police Cole, during a press conference, raised the possibility that the odors and symptoms reported by his victims could have resulted from pollutants or toxic waste released by nearby industrial plants. He speculated that
that's true. A lot of chemicals dumped into the wild have a sweet smell like that, and are detrimental to wildlife, coolants and things like that especially. But how toxic a coolant is, I don't know.
that substances like carbon tetrachloride or trichloroethylene, both have a sweet odor and capable of inducing similar symptoms, might have been responsible. However, the Atlas Imperial Company, primarily implicated in the affair, denied responsibility, stating that they had minimal quantities of carbon tetrachloride and that any trichloroethylene exposure would have affected factory workers first. The plant had also been certified as safe by the State Department of Health at the time. Some researchers, after a thorough analysis of the events, have concluded that at least some of the gasser incidents were the result of an actual assailant conducting a series of gas attacks, as reported by witnesses. Writers interested in the paranormal have also explored these events, with some depicting the mad
Yeah, it's like a. So you think it was like a 1500s flash mob that started the tarantula?
gasser as a not quite human or possibly extraterrestrial being. The Mattoon mad gasser, a chilling enigma, haunts the annals of history. Whether a product of mass hysteria, industrial pollution, a genuine assailant, or even the paranormal, the truth eludes us. This enduring mystery serves as a stark reminder of fear's power to shatter a community's tranquility.
I am glad they switched it from the anesthetic prowler. That's just kind of weak sauce for a cryptid sighting name. This is like, I put this with Mad Gasser, I guess, on the same plane as like Indrid Cold. People encountered like that seem to be the Mothman. Yeah, that's another one.
As we grapple with the unknown, one question remains. Will the mad gasser ever be unmasked, or forever linger as a shadowy phantom in the depths of history?
All right, so that was, that's some slapped ham. They'd cover slapped ham mysteries. But who was the Mad Gasser? I don't think the Mad Gasser was anybody. Do you think the Mad Gasser was somebody? My opinion on this is that the Mad Gasser was mass hysteria, just based on everything I know so far. A prowler who used some kind of anesthetic or gas to knock out his intended victims was on the loose in Mattoon Friday night. Miss Bert Kearney and her I like how they used to call women by their husband's name and her 3-year-old daughter Dorothy Ellen were victims of an anesthetic Friday night as they slept in bed at their home, 1408 Marshall Avenue. So they jump right off to saying it's a prowler on the loose. It couldn't have been sleep paralysis or anything like that. It's a prowler on the loose. And it just explodes from there. So I think the idea that this is a overzealous reporter probably has a kernel of truth to it. Failure to, what's this word? Mentity the gas sprayed late Mattoon home by phantom like mad anesthesist anesthetist. Oh my goodness, this print's so tiny. Okay, do not laugh. I'm getting old. There we go. All right. Was announced today by Richard Y. Piper, chief of the Mattoon criminal identification. Yeah, it's too blurry. Too blurry. I'm not going to read all that. But yeah, here we see people linking it to other similar phenomena like the Spring Hill Jack that I mentioned earlier. Spring Hill Jack. Mystery of mysteries! Spring Hill Jack was a similar enigmatic character that appeared in London well before like Jack the Ripper came around or anything like that. But whether Spring Hill Jack was a real phenomena or not is kind of up in the air. But yeah, they put this like eerie twist on the Mad Gasser story, giving it sort of a supernatural touch. But I think at the end of the day, mass hysteria is a good explanation for it. They just kept confirming each other's experiences, and then anybody who had experienced sleep paralysis, which impacts a lot more people than you would expect. Yeah, they all correlated on the same notion, the same ideas of what was happening to them, and it sort of blossomed from there. But what do you think, really? I mean, what do the denizens of the Hive feel about the Mad Gasser of Mattoon? Let me know in the comments down below. This has been Cryptic Corner. Thank you for joining me, and remember to be kind. Take care, and we will see you next time.